Hi everyone, my name is Ganeet Sibia, and welcome to our first video tutorial. Today I'm going to be focusing on Chapter 5, which is Ethics in International Business. The objective of today's video is to teach you guys the ways in which international business and its managers can ensure that ethical issues are being considered while making a business decision, and we're also going to learn how managers can make an ethical decision. I'm going to start by going over some basic definitions and then move on to the most important ethical issues in today's world. I'm going to focus on employment practices, and then we'll go over the steps that it takes to make an ethical decision and how to solve an ethical problem, and then that should wrap up today's video. Ethics is the accepted principles of right or wrong that govern the conduct of a person, the members of a profession, and the actions of an organization. Business ethics in particular has a very similar definition, but it has more to do with companies and the conduct of business people. The 5 most important ethical issues in today's world are employment practices, human rights, environmental regulations, corruption, and moral obligations of a multinational company. Today I'm going to be focusing on employment practices. As we've learned earlier, work conditions can vary drastically depending on where the company and its employees are. If they're in their home nation, they're going to be really familiar with their business etiquette and business culture. However, if they're in a host nation or a foreign nation, the environment and culture is going to be very different. So it's important that firms establish some set standards that everyone accepts. This will protect the employees and their dignity and rights. It's also important that companies regularly audit their subcontractors and foreign subsidies to make sure that those set and accepted standards are being followed. And if they're not, they can take the necessary steps to correct that. So there are 5 steps that managers can take to make sure that their decisions are ethical. First step is to hire ethical people. Employees are what really make up the heart and soul of the company. So it's important that individuals who really value ethics and have a high moral obligation are hired and they are allowed to be in the company. The second step is to develop an ethical organization culture. The environment one is in really impacts the type of decisions they make. So it's important to create a culture that really values ethics and morals. And it's important that the employees know that the companies value that, because that's what's going to lead them to make ethical decisions. The third step is to hire ethical leaders. Leaders really impact the success of a company. If the leader, for whatever reason, is making an unethical decision, the rest of the employees will have no motivation to make the right decision as well. So it's important that, once again, individuals with a high moral obligation and value for ethics are hired, so they set the example for the rest of the employees. The fourth step would be to encourage moral courage. Once again, you want to create an environment that really fosters positivity and encourages your employees to step up or stand up against any unethical decisions or behavior they see around them. And they should also have the courage to make ethical decisions, even if it seems difficult at first. The fifth step is to use an ethical process. If the company has a set plan laid out that follows the ethics, it would just make it easier for the company and its employees to just follow the plan and ensure that their processes are ethical. If a manager runs into any ethical problems, there are some steps they can take to solve the problems, and they have to do mostly with a stakeholder. As we know, stakeholders invest money in the company and they have a large interest in how the company does. So it's important to identify the impact of the shareholder and determine if the decision in question is violating their rights. If it is violating their rights, then the manager needs to have the moral obligation to prioritize ethics and make the decision so that the rights are not being violated. So you can use ethical behavior to make that decision. And in the end, it's important that they go back and check the decisions that were made to ensure that the set process and ethics were followed. Companies can also just hire an ethics officer whose job it is to make sure that ethics and the plan is being followed. So overall, I went over some strategies and plans that managers can go through to make an ethical decision. But just as human beings, it's our obligation to make the right decision. Not only does it impact the company and its employees, but these decisions also impact our planet Earth. So it's just crucial that the companies make the right decision. So that was all for today's video. I hope you guys learned something interesting or knowledgeable, and I will see you guys next time.